We've heard about the many things that SAP is doing, and I've heard from other industry leaders all the great things that the private sector is doing to address cyber workforce challenges. Do you think these efforts should be coordinated?
We absolutely feel that these should be coordinated. If you look at what the European Union is doing right now with the establishment of their cybersecurity academy, they are really centralizing a lot of their efforts across the EU member states to build it on a platform, but also making sure that there's funding available. So finding the credentials, providing training for folks who are raising their hands to get trained, but also the jobs. They want to make sure that people know where the job opportunities are. So it's really about making sure that we have a centralized place for training. If I really just type in a search engine, how do I get into cybersecurity? It should take me to a search engine to find something that's affordable that I can get into. And then once I'm done, I should be able to find a centralized job database, whether it's USA Jobs or another place to find the job that matches my skill sets based off the certification program. But I do think the US has the opportunity to do that. We're starting to see that with CyberSeek. I think we can do a lot more, but I do think the Europeans are getting a little bit ahead and playing a more strategic game, and I think the US can definitely get there if we can put more concerted effort around centralizing these resources, making it easier for Americans to get upskilled or reskilled into cybersecurity roles.
And my next question was going to be, should the federal government be doing anything? Because sometimes we shouldn't. We should let you all do your thing. But it sounds like, funding, training platforms similar to what the EU is doing might be the best way to handle it from what you just said.
Definitely that. And then we would urge Congress to support the Jobs Act, which provides short-term Pell Grants for programs, boot camps, that are cybersecurity focused, that again, if there's 8 to 12-week programs for critically needed roles, we do think that that might be an option. Understanding we need to make sure that there's accountability, that there are actual matriculation into jobs is really important with that. We do think that that might be a tactic that Congress should look into, the Jobs Act.
Thank you. It's very big, that Jobs Act, so I like that you focused on the Pell Grant section. Mr. Markow, workforce shortages are persistent across all 16 critical infrastructure sectors. CyberSeek is able to procure job opening data across all those sectors, allowing potential job seekers to get an industry-specific preview of what their market looks like. In your view, what industries in the private sectors have taken effective steps and proactively addressed their cyber workforce shortage?
It's a good question, and I think that I will say there are employers across all sectors that have taken some very proactive steps. If I were to try and generalize across different sectors, I would say that the financial services sector has been a leader in many cases. I think that out of necessity, due to the sensitivity of the data and the information that they have, many organizations in financial services have been very proactive in trying to build their cybersecurity workforces and to really work collaboratively with educators, policymakers, and others. We've also seen some very effective examples across even retail, information, and some energy companies as well, who are very focused on building a pipeline of talent that they can manage in the same way that they would manage any of their supply chains. And they're taking ownership over developing their own cybersecurity talent, working collaboratively with, again, educators, policymakers, nonprofits, and other stakeholders in their communities. So again, there are very good examples across a number of different sectors, but I think that those are some of the industries that we've seen some of the more proactive approaches.
I appreciate that. And in your testimony, you mentioned public-private partnerships as potential incentives to push individuals, educators, employers, and other stakeholders to help strengthen the cybersecurity talent pipeline. Many states have experimented with programs to improve these outcomes as well. Are there any potential programs that have proven to be significantly effective at recruiting and retaining cyber workforce, and what programs at the state level could serve as a bellwether for future programs?
It's a great question, and I think transparently a lot of these programs are still relatively new. So they might also still be in the third inning, so we're still looking for more outcomes data. That said, there have been some initial promising results from things like Tech Cred in Ohio. Not sure if you're familiar with that, but it is a program that in which Ohio employers are able to receive some funding and tax credits to support training their existing workers in industry-recognized credentials. So this enables them to more readily upskill and reskill their existing workforce and to solve that problem of how do we bring in fresh blood as rapidly as possible. It's by investing in your existing workforce. And so that's one program that has shown some promise. This is actually not a state program. It's actually something DHS has done as well, is to pilot some talent sharing programs with employers, private employers. And I think that can be potentially an effective way to solve the chicken and egg problem of how do you build more experienced workers when employers primarily only want to hire somebody who already has experience. And so if CISA can help to reduce some of the friction for training the entry-level workers and giving them on-the-job opportunities, either in DHS or in the private sector, then that can both help to solve that chicken and egg problem of how do you bring fresh blood into the industry and how do you make employers more incentivized to hire entry-level workers. But it also helps to facilitate sharing of skills and cross-pollination between both the public and private sector, which can have benefits to the actual productivity of your workers and the security of our digital infrastructure, both in the public and private sector.
Thank you. My time has expired.